So just got home, just got through watching the ball game. Of course, you know, I'm hot, so been out of shape. And just like I did last year with the Clemson game, I'm just going to come up right up front with you all and let you know I am totally and 100% biased on this situation. I'm a Bama man. I have always been a Bama man. I will always be a Bama man. Win, lose, or draw, I don't care if they lose every game in the season. I will never, ever be a bandwagon fan. I will be a Bama man until the day they plant me into the ground. And that is why it is so difficult for me, painful even, mentally it's painful for me to see the debacle that happened tonight at Jordan-Hare Field. It's not the players. I want to make that very clear. I guarantee you they feel terrible. You know, it's the coaching staff. And more importantly, you know who it is? It's the support staff. That's the problem right there. Do you know exactly who I'm talking about? You want to know exactly who I am referring to, either as a staff or a person? The sport psychologist for the University of Alabama. That person lost that game tonight with Dr. Trammell. It's one of your own. No, he's not. He's not one of my own. And that's why it is so frustrating for me to see so many mental mistakes. This got nothing to do with execution. No. Mac Jones played probably one of the best games that he's ever going to play. He did the best he could do with the talent that he has been given. He's not Tua, but he did the best he could do. He was put in situations that allowed him to fail. It's not his fault that somebody asked him to do things that he could not do, like Tua. But you know what? What are they going to do? He was doing great. He was asked to do some things that he was not able to do. He did the best he could. Came up, that's 14 points right there, fellas. He was asked to do things that he was not ready to do. Now, in practice, all day, every day. But we ain't in practice anymore. So the stress that is on this young man apparently was too much for him to handle. But you know what? He did a great job with what he had. Fantastic job. And I look forward to bringing him back next year in case, you know, Tua may be back, and he should come back, because he's going to lose millions and millions of dollars if he does not come back. That you all know that. Everybody knows that. Will he even be ready for the combine at that time? Who can say? So Tua may want to come back just to prove a point, to stick it to everybody that they knew, LSU certainly, and Auburn. If I'm thinking what Tua might be thinking, he's saying, we're going to come back next year and we're going to roll over them. Problem is, we're going to lose all of those great wide receivers that Tua made famous. Mental discipline, not physicality, mental discipline is why this team got beat tonight by a team that should have been steamrolled over. Bama should have rolled over this team. But it was because the coaching staff is specifically, the people that are working in the mental conditioning department, they let the whole team down. This team was not mentally prepared for that game. Wasn't prepared. How, you know, what's Dr. Trammell? What do you mean by that? When you have a play, 4th and 4, offsides is going to be 1,000 times worse than not blocking the ball. Then is there somebody on the sidelines explaining to that team, say, look, fellas, I would rather you be conservative on this play here, because if one of you guys gets too anxious, mentally anxious, and jumps off sides, then they're going to get a first down, and then that's not what we want, fellas. So I want you to be more conservative on this play, really focus now on the movement of the ball. That's what I want you to focus on. Okay, ready? We have. kid jumps off sides, first down, Auburn. How is that possible? How is that possible? He can do it every day in practice, and yet when we needed it the most, mental discipline was gone. How? Who can we point a finger to, Dr. Trammell? The person that calls himself the sports psychologist on that team that is not a sports psychologist. He is a clinical psychologist. He has no training, no experience in sports psychology. That is what drives me crazy with these ADs that are hiring people with a clinical degree or a counseling degree. They have not taken a class in sports psychology, and yet they call themselves sports psychologists, which there is no such thing as. There's no such thing as a sports psychologist. But you've got a group of people out there that come out of college with a clinical PhD that can't make a living working on people that have some kind of a depression or food allergies, or something like that. Then they say, well, you know what? I read a book one time on sports psychology, so I'm going to call myself a sports psychologist now, and then charge a bunch of parents and bill to their insurance company that I'm treating their kid for anxiety. And guess what? Now I'm a sports psychologist. No, you are not. You are nothing more than somebody that's come out of college with a clinical degree. That's it. You are not a sports psychologist, and therefore, I don't know why these athletic directors think that's the kind of person that needs to go in there to work on kids that are focused, that need to focus on their execution, their mental discipline. It blows my mind. I am an applied sport psychology consultant. That's what I do. My doctorate is in sport psychology. That is what my doctorate is in. Sport psychology. I have taken 15 classes in applied and theoretical sports psychology in my master's degree and in my doctorate. 15 classes. How many classes have these nitwits at the University of Alabama taken? Other than how to treat somebody who's having some kind of debilitating depression, because they got a C in art or something. It's unbelievable to me. It's absolute. I don't get it. I don't understand it. That's who lost this ball game tonight, is the mental conditioning staff at the University of Alabama, who did not prepare this team to go into a situation where the anxiety was off the chain. And yet, where are they? Doing, filling out, freaking paperwork and psychometrics. Jimmy, just how do you feel? How does it feel to you when you may be in the last, play of an Auburn game, and then you have to hit the field goal, and if you don't hit the field goal, well, that's going to be end of the season. How does that make you feel? Oh, terrible, terrible, Dr. So-and-so. Yeah, give me are you kidding me? That's what clinical psychologists do. They sit there and yap, yap, yap across the table to a kid so he can, give him his feelings. How does it feel? What do you feel like? How does that feel to you? Get the kid on the field and put him in a situation where he is experiencing stress, and then the anxiety will come on top of him, that you can then apply sports psychology techniques to help him get with the tools that when he jogs out onto the field, he is saying to himself, oh my God, please help me make this kick. Don't miss this kick. I'll never be able to show my face on campus again, please. Instead of saying, okay, no problem. I've done it all day, every day in practice. This is just like it was then. I'm going to focus now on one person through the upright. I'm going to focus on that person right there in the red. I'm going to keep my eyes on that person. I'm going to focus on that person. That's just like a bowling alley. I've done it 1,000 times in practice with Dr. So-and-so standing right next to me, monitoring my mental state of mind. Say, well, sir, how do you know they don't do that? Well, the proof is in the pudding. The kid missed a 30-yard kick, and yet in practice he can do it 1,000 times. Say, well, how do you know, Coach Trammell? I was there at the coaching clinic. I saw it with my own eyes at the University of Alabama's coaching clinic early in 2019. I was there. And you know what? There was no coach there with those kids on the kicking side. They were all over there with Tua and Najee and everybody else. The kickers were by themselves. No coach was there. Nobody. They were by themselves. Well, sir, that's just the coaching clinic. Well, fine. Prove me wrong then. Maybe I see a kid jog on the field and miss one that he could hit in practice 1,000 times. Maybe I didn't see that. Yes, I did see it. I saw a kid that was afraid. He was afraid of failure. Failure got into his mind. He was not thinking about the so-called process, obviously. I guarantee you, if you put another ball there, if you put 50 balls there, he could have kicked them in there. This is called situational anxiety, and is what I work with on my clients throughout, from day one to the day we end. That's all we're working on. You can do it in practice. How are you doing it in practice? Well, in that case, we can take that mindset and we can bring it right over here into this situation, which is a tournament situation. Well, you know what? There are different variables that you have to deal with. Okay, fine. Then that's what we're going to deal with. Crowd noise, fine. We can block that out and substitute that with something else, right? The pressure of the wind, no problem. We can turn that and say, well, you know what? This is going to be a great opportunity. Woo, this is going to be fun. To this, instead of thinking, oh man, if I miss this, we're not going to the Sugar Bowl. No. No. You turn that thought, okay, and just simply say, look, I realize what this situation is. I'm not living in denial, but I have done it every day for months and years. I am a great kicker. I'm going to take deep breaths to relax, and then I'm going to focus on one spot. And that's what I'm going to do. I have done it every single day in practice, and that is what I'm going to do. I acknowledge the crowd. I acknowledge the pressure. I acknowledge everything else out. But you know what? This is where I am, 6 inches in front of my nose. And you know what? Dr. So-and-so was there with me, encouraging me, and now I know I am a great athlete. Let's get instead of going out there thinking, oh, shit. Okay, fellas. Scared to death of missing the ball. Where was the sport psychologist, which there's no such thing as? Where was he? Is the guy on the sidelines talking to the guy? Where is he? Is he not talking to Steve Sarkisian about this particular play that you're putting Mac into that he may not be mentally ready to be able to execute? Are you not talking to the coaching staff and saying, sir, so-and-so is getting really uptight and anxious. Let's put this other kid in while I talk this kid off the ledge. Huh? Where is this guy? Where are these people? Doing psychometrics, probably, holding a clipboard somewhere up in the coaching booth. It's unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. First down on the 2-yard line, and you have got a world-class running back right here, and you put Mac Jones in a situation that he is not ready to go. He is not mentally prepared for this situation, okay? All day, every day in practice, all right, all day. He is not ready. This thing that you ask him to do requires precise hand-to-eye coordination. You know what's one of the first things that goes in stressful situations? Hand-to-eye coordination. That's what goes. Eyes get real narrow, hands get real sweaty. Breathing gets real shallow. Fear through the roof. And yet you've got a world-class multi-millionaire, soon to be, standing right back here, and all he needs is 2 yards. 2 yards, that's all he needs. And what do? You sent him out in the flat, and you give the ball to a player that was not mentally prepared. And then you know what happens next, right? Is that Mac's fault? No, it's not his fault. It is the offensive coordinator's fault, or whoever called that play. And then on top of that, it is the mental conditioning people's fault for not telling Sarkisian, sir, I'm not 100% sure that Mac is ready for this yet. I'm not sure. I mean, I know he did it great in practice and everything, but this is a situation where it could put great stress on this boy. Great stress. So why don't we, think about this, sir. Coach, I'm not here to tell you how, I don't know, you know 1,000 times more about football coaching than me. I'll say that right out. I know 1,000 times more about stress and anxiety than you. Okay, so our heads come together. All right, you say, well, sir, what do you think about? I'm not 100% sure that he's ready for this. Yeah, a lot of stress on him. So, is there something that we can do that will give us the best chance of success with the highest probability of success? What can we do in order to do that? Well, we got 4 plays to go 2 yards with a first-round draft pick running back right back here. How about that? Okay. Instead, we're going to have a young man in his 3rd game. Well, is this not his 3rd game? 19 years old, if that, in the biggest game of his life, try a delicate pass. You see what happens. Does that hurt or help his confidence when he jogged off the field? Oh, it's okay, Mac. It's okay, Mac. Of course, his confidence is damn near destroyed because of you. Both of you. The offensive coordinator and the mental coach, who is not even on the sidelines, apparently. I don't get it. Coach Saban is a genius when it comes to sports psychology. He knows all about this. And I know it's as frustrating for him when these mental mistakes happen. It's got to be. I know it kills him inside. But for Bama people like me, especially somebody like me, it boggles my mind how this team can be so unprepared for such a situation like this. It's unbelievable to me. I don't get it. Finally, I was at the coaching clinic at Coleman Coliseum in 2019, whenever that was, earlier in the year, okay? March or something like that. I can't remember. So I thought, this would be a good time to, meet some coaches, some high school coaches, and maybe do some seminars for some of the teams. It's going to be hundreds of people. There are hundreds and hundreds of high school coaches all around the country, not just in Alabama. It'd be a good opportunity for me to meet and talk to some of them and everything, and maybe I can help make, be a part of the team just in doing some seminars, talking to the players, and helping them understand a little bit more about sports psychology, about how the mind works to help them overcome stress and anxiety in situations. That is my specialty. Golf is my specialty. All right. As far as golf is concerned, I think I am more credentialed than anybody in the world as far as golf psychology, just simply because of my background. I played professional golf for years. I've been a golf instructor since 1989. Invented and sold 15 of my own golf training aids on a company that I owned many, many years ago, and have a master's degree in athletic counseling and a doctorate in sports psychology. I mean, who else has got those credentials as far as golf is concerned? I'll tell you who, nobody. I am one of a kind when it comes to golf. But in football, I thought, well, you know what? I've been a football fan my entire, I met Bear Bryant. But that's neither here nor there. But point is, I've been a football fan. I played ball, in fact, when I was a kid. And I know a little bit about the game, but I'm not a coach. I don't know anything about the X's and O's, but that's not my job. So I thought to myself, well, these men are coming here to talk to Coach Saban. He is a terrific advocate for people like me, being in sports psychology. He brings in motivational speakers. And I know there's some kind of real famous person he brings in. That man is not a sports psychology consultant. He is a motivational speaker. Okay, I want to put that to bed right now. I think you all know who I'm talking about, but I don't want to disparage the man. But I want this team to go above and beyond where it is right now. It's time to make some changes. And not that I'm trying to get the job, believe me, no. I'm just simply saying bring in some people that are applied, that can stand on the sidelines and talk to these players about what's going on in their mind, giving them the tools that they have been given in practice to overcome situational anxiety, so that when they jog out onto the field for a 30-yard kick that'll tie the game, they say, no problem. That's what I am looking for. Anyway, I'm at the coaching clinic. Hundreds and hundreds of football coaches are going around and around in the auditorium, right? I got a booth there, got a little bit of paperwork there, handing out some things, talking to a few people, gave some, on-the-fly seminars right there. This went on for 2 days. Not one coach that I spoke to, and I spoke to dozens of them, not one coach that they pick up the flyer, hey, coach, how you doing? How's it going? How do you feel about your team this year? Well, I think we're going to be okay. I said, well, if I can be of service to you, please let me know. I'll do that. So I know they ain't got a lot of money, and I wasn't going to charge them a lot of money. I'm just looking to help the program, okay? Because I love sports, love football. Not one coach, not one, contacted me. Not one coach. Finally, at the very end, an old boy comes up with his staff, him and his entire staff. He says, look, I know a little bit about sports psychology. My team, we're right on the edge. We're right on the verge. I know that we could do better, but this thing is all mental with us. He said, can you help us out? I said, I'd love to help you out. Where are you from? Well, we're from Maryland. I said, no problem. I said, look, if you just pay for my expenses, I'll come and work with the team, just for a ham sandwich, right? That's all I'm asking for, Coach, because I want to help these kids be successful. Let's face it, ain't like I'm going to live up in Maryland. Yeah, well, we really appreciate that, Dr. Trammell. We'll let you know. Never heard from the guy. Never heard from the guy. You see? So it's the coaches then, they don't know anything about sports psychology, and apparently it makes them very nervous. They have their little, they have their bush here. This is my little territory. I don't want anyone coming in disrupting the mental part of, I am in charge here. I don't want anyone coming in here. So forth and so on. You know what I mean? It's got to. What else could it be? What else? I don't understand what else could it be. It's just coaches, other than a man like Coach Saban, Bill Belichick, who know. They don't know. They're afraid. They're afraid of sports psychology because it's a mystery in here. I just don't want to talk about it. No, we're doing all right with the X and O's. Okay, great. Then how'd the kid do with the X and O's that went out there and lost and missed a kick tonight? How did he do? How do you think he feels tonight? It's not his fault, though. It's not that young man's fault. It's your fault. Coaching staff, it's your fault, mental conditioning staff, for not preparing that young man. It's your fault. It's not his fault. It's your fault. I'm in the audience right now. Coach Saban, Nick Saban, is speaking in front of 100 coaches. We're in the stands. And there's Coach Saban on a little stage down there, and I'm probably 20 rows up, sitting right there in the middle. So Coach Saban's talking. What is he talking about? Is he talking about the X and O? No. All he's talking about is the mental game. That's all he's talking about is the mental aspects of athletics, as in his opinion, from his perspective, in the last 25 years. That's what he's talking about. Expectations, perspective, stress, anxiety. He's covering all up, and he's dripping honey in my ears. I thought, man, this is part of the reason why he is so great. This is part of the reason why. Coach Saban finishes. He says, okay, take some questions now. Nobody raised their hand. Not one coach raised their hand. Coach Saban even said it. He said, do you not have any question? I thought, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I raised my hand. When they didn't, I raised my hand. What did I ask him? I asked him about young players that come in with a high expectation of starting and they don't start. What is their mindset going forward? Oh, man, God. He went 20 minutes on that question. 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes on that answer, rather. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Set back down, right? The next question. Anybody else have a question? Nobody raised their hand. I raised my hand again. Asked him another question. I said, sir, how do you deal as far as team culture when everybody knows about the expectancy level here? Everybody knows. I said, do you have things that remind the players as reinforcers of how great that they are, and this is something that they're looking forward to? No, sir. We don't talk about that at all. All the trophies and everything, they're away from us, everything. We don't talk about that kind of thing. He said, I don't want them thinking about anything other than what is happening in front of them, play by play. How can I affect my opponent on this play? That is all we're thinking about. We do not discuss anything that is beyond that. I thought, this is the process. When he's talking about the process, this is the process. Exactly. Right there in front of us is the man talking about the process. Well, to me, I had been studying that for years. I knew exactly what he was talking about, but I was thinking, well, maybe that sunk in to one of these old boys around here, that they surely did not understand what the man was talking about. Surely. Because all they are W's and L's. That's it. That's all they're thinking about. Keeping that, job. That's all they're thinking about. But apparently it didn't sink in. Because then afterwards is when I went back up there, and nobody asked Coach Saban a question. Not one coach asked this man a question. So there you have it. That's high school football right there. That's the apparently the mindset of the modern day high school football coach right there. And it's, the opportunities are wide open for a person that is not, afraid to look outside the X's and O's, who's secure enough in his own skin to say, I'm going to bring somebody in here that can help me and my coaching staff understand a little bit more about how the mind of the modern athlete works in 2019 or 2020. I'm not afraid, but apparently that's not going to work. But obviously, we need to do something at the University of Alabama to take the next step. I'm saying Coach Saban maybe, and then of course, he ain't going to watch this, but somebody might get back to him and say, look, maybe it's time to make some changes. Not with, Steve or anybody like that, but a group of people can come in and work with these players, not on this clinical crap. God, forget this stuff, this clinical crap. It makes me sick. Talk applied sport psychology. Being out there with them players, talking with them. Why did you do that? What was going on in your mind when you threw that interception, Mac? What are you thinking right now, Mac? And then giving him the tools in practice that when he gets into a situation like this, he says, well, you know what? I remember working on this in practice. I remember this. I've got to slow down now. I've got to, keep my vision wide. Or something like that. I got to think something. Pieces of the mental puzzle engaged in certain situations to help me overcome this in particular environment so that I can continue to be successful. Instead of just saying, well, I'm going to block this kick. No, not necessarily. That's not necessarily it. Okay, we want to play it smarter here. What we don't want is to come off sides. That's what we don't want. So what do we want? What do we want now? We've identified what we don't want, okay, which is jumping off sides. Why? Because they only need four yards for a first down, and that's going to change the entire complexion of this football game. So I'll tell you what, fellas, just play it conservative. Play it conservative, and then we're going to go forward. Okay, ready? Okay, there you go. That's applied, not some clinical crap sitting in an office where they don't want to be anyway, talking about their feelings and filling out forms. That's what they don't want. In closing, the thing that infuriates me the most is a team jogs onto the field with a few seconds left, or in this case, a little over a minute left, and what they needed was to just stop this play, get the ball back with about a minute left, with a chance to get into the end zone. Okay, fine. What happens? What happens with this team? They come onto the field. Nobody said a word, knowing or didn't know. They did not know. The players did not know that there were 12 men on the field. 12 men on the field. Auburn recognized that, engaged the ball. I guess they didn't snap the ball, but apparently they engaged the ball so that it was going. The play started. Alabama got a 5-yard penalty. First down, Auburn, take a knee. Where were the coaching staff counting the players? Where were they? And yet they allowed that 12th man just to jog onto the field. Auburn people, they knew. As soon as they knew, they were counting. Snap the ball. Game over. How is that possible? How is that possible for the University of Alabama, the greatest team that's ever played college football, with the greatest head coach that's ever coached the game? How is that possible? I'll tell you exactly how it's possible. When you've got a coaching staff that is not on the ball, they're doing everything else on that sideline except paying attention to what's happening. It's not the player's fault at all, coach. It's not the player's fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. Whoever is in charge of that, it's your fault. You did not train these players enough in practice, in discipline, mental discipline. It's not toughness. They're all mentally tough. Not that. That's some kind of Q word, some magic word in my field today. Everybody think, well, we just got to be mentally tough. They're not being taught about being mentally disciplined. There's a difference. It's the discipline, the mental discipline they did not and don't have on that team. They don't have enough discipline on the team mentally. Physically, they got it. Mentally, they don't have it. And so then that goes right back onto the people that are apparently, supposedly in charge of the mental game of that football team. They didn't prepare them. They haven't prepared them all season to be mentally disciplined. They don't have the tools. They don't have the tools to be mentally disciplined enough to understand that this series is it. And yet the 12th man jogged onto the field. And no one said a word. Not one person said a word until it was too late. Of course, till too late, someone said a word. But you know what? This whole thing, maybe it's for the best. Maybe it's because Coach Saban's going to make some changes. No doubt about that. Hopefully he gets rid of everybody that's in that particular mental coach's office with posters on his wall and all that crap. He ain't doing anything, coach. Maybe he'll just start all over in that department, okay? All over. And get yourself some applied people in there. Some applied people that knows what they're doing, that have played professional sports before, that knows what it is to be under situational duress. Maybe that's what you need. I don't know. But I guarantee you, if we had played Ohio State with this team, the way they are playing now, I don't want to even think about it. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise. That we need this little setback here because our expectations at the University of Alabama are so ridiculously high, and I am sucked up in it myself. But to see a team like Bama get beat by a team like Auburn this year is totally unacceptable to me, at least to me, because I'm a biased Bama fan, let's face it. But if with this team that we have being so mentally undisciplined, maybe it's for the best that we didn't play Ohio State, or in this case, if we got into, if LSU probably going to beat Georgia, who would we have played? Ohio State, and that would have probably been a massacre. And then, so maybe it's for the best, that we'll go down to Miami or whatever and play, Michigan State or Wisconsin or somebody and get our act together. But you know what? Mac Jones is going to come back. Well, hopefully Tua comes back. Hopefully he'll rehab and say in his mind, I'm going to show him. I'm going to come back next year, and we are going to roll through the SEC, and then we're going to go on forward and beat anyone else that we need to, including Clemson, which I hope they're there, and we're going to become the national championship team that I know we can be. But if not, Mac is going to be there. He's a terrific young man, and he's going to lead us there as well. But my hope is that somebody, is going to make some changes into the staff that is around that team to make them more mentally disciplined. But with that, what can I say? I congratulate Auburn. In fact, I studied business at Auburn, and they're a wonderful college. But you know what? I'm a Bama man to the day I die. I hate it when this kind of thing happens, and I'm going to be there next year. And I don't care if there's 0-10, I'm going to be a Bama man. I just, passionate about this team, and just like everybody else, that's a Bama person as well. So with that, thank you for allowing me to vent. Roll Tide.